Hey guys, it's Roni, and I'm here with the podcast. I'm so excited. It's been a long time, and I tried to get back into the groove with like a weekly. It didn't work. I'm very much in reactionary mom mode right now. Evan is napping. We have a video monitor. I love it. I don't know if you can see it. See him in there. So he's sleeping. I caught him right at that sweet spot, like nap, where I caught him kind of rubbing his eyes, and I was like, all right, let's go. Put him in the crib, right out. So I'm like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is record. I'm going to leave the mess. I'm going to leave the inbox, just record, and then that way at least I have something I can get up in the version, in a podcast that I can get up soon. I mean, I still have to edit it and bring it up, whatever. But at least it's recorded. So I'm going to do my best to try to do one when I can, when it makes sense. I'm in desperate need of a haircut. My eyebrows need to be waxed. I have baby spittle on me. I'm a disaster. So you have to bear with me. But I have so many great questions coming in, and I don't want to neglect them and have such a big backlog. I mean, I already have a backlog, so I kind of actually plucked the first few that have come in recently because they're really relevant and timely. You know, some of them are asking me about breastfeeding and running and that kind of stuff, and it won't make sense to answer those a year from now. I can't even imagine a year from now. I'll have a little baby walking around the house. That's so exciting. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to get right to these great questions. And the first one is from Meredith. And Meredith says, "Hi, great website. I am so frustrated. I'm 39 years old and recently came off an anti-anxiety medicine called Celexa. I gained 30 pounds from that and overeating. I exercise a lot, but I was taking in too many calories. So I started to count calories, eat smaller portions, eat healthier, etc. I've only, you'll know why I'm stressing that in a minute. I have only lost 1 pound per week. I started on July 1st at 200 pounds, and it is September 13th, and I'm 190 pounds. I am doing everything right, though. Your thoughts on slow weight loss?" All right, so my thoughts, I mean, you said you're doing everything right, and you are, and your body is rewarding you with a pound loss a week. How awesome is that? I mean, I know it's frustrating, and I know that you said you gained 30, I think. But you're a third of the way there now hold on, July, August, in 2 months. So in 4 more months, you'll be at goal if you keep this pace, if you're lucky enough to keep up this pace. I think so many times we self-sabotage because we literally want to wake up one day and just have the weight gone. When really, like you said, you're exercising, you lowered your portions, you're eating healthier, and your body is rewarding you with a pound of weight loss a week. That's exactly what you want to happen. So don't get so frustrated. I mean, I've been tethering around this 155 mark now I'm going on 2 months, but I know I'm doing everything right. I know that I'm finding a balance that I need right now, and I'm still meeting the needs of nursing a newborn. I'm exercising. I'm not feeling deprived, yet I'm trying to focus on eating healthier. There's a few things I could be doing better, like I could stop snacking in the evenings, like I am attempting to this week. But I think you're in a really good place, Meredith, when you know what you're doing is resulting in X. I think the people that get really frustrated are the ones who feel like they're doing everything right and they're not having anything to show for it. But you are having something to show for it. And I think a pound of weight loss a week consistently is phenomenal. Own that. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. And what's the alternative? Is the alternative to continue to eat unhealthy in large portions and continue to gain? You don't want to do that. So I think you need to own it. I think you're in a really good place. And I think you have to keep doing what you're doing. And inevitably, you will reach your goals, which is exactly where you want to be. So don't focus on the negative. Focus on the positive. You're on your way. I don't even have any advice to speed up your weight loss because I think 1 pound a week is awesome. Totally awesome. All right, so I'm going to move on, Meredith. And I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear. But sometimes I think maybe having an outside person kind of shake you a little bit and go, yo, you're losing a pound a week. That's so cool. Might make you go, oh yeah, I am doing this. I'm doing this and I'm reaching my goal. So keep doing what you're doing and you'll be there before you know it. I promise. And being a mom of a newborn, it happens like that. 4 months, boom, to be over already. All right, I'm going to move on to Jessica. Jessica says, hey, Roni. Okay, I have a food question for you. I love food questions. In several of your food pics, be it breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I see that you are a fan of ketchup. And she spells it ketchup. Ketchup, just like I do. Myself, I'm a sauce girl. Pizza sauce, steak sauce, etc. Also a big fan of ketchup. Here's the thing. Sauces and ketchups usually tend to have high sugar content. Do you use regular ketchup or the reduced sugar kind? I've tried the Heinz reduced sugar ketchup, but it tastes a little off. Or do you use good old-fashioned portion control? I found myself relying more on portion control, but still, my ketchup or sauce will usually cost me a couple of points. Just wondering, thanks. All right, Jessica. I love this question because I am a ketchup girl. I never really thought about it until I started taking pictures of my food and people pointed out to me how much I use ketchup. And I do. Of course, I use it on French fries. I dip butternut squash fries in ketchup. I put ketchup on eggs. Chicken tenders I like to dip. Anything that's like breaded and fried or breaded and baked fried, I dip in ketchup. Anything with breading, I dip in ketchup. I even put ketchup on and this is going to be really gross. I never realized this was gross until I realized, every other person I've ever eaten with who has seen me do this thought it was gross, but I put ketchup on my fish sandwiches. Only when it's breaded. If it's like a grilled fish, no. But if it's a breaded fish, like one from McDonald's or some other fast food place, or even fish and chips, I skip the tartar and I use ketchup. So it's a little bit of an obsession, although I never really realized it was an obsession, but I do use an awful lot of ketchup. But I'm also a big fan of I like to dip my French fries in honey mustard sometimes. So it's really actually not even a ketchup obsession. I think it's a dipping obsession. All right, so that being said, I think your question is a good one. I think a lot of times we don't realize how many calories or points or whatever it is that you're counting, sugar that you pointed out. It's usually sugar is the culprit in these kind of dips, but how much they add up. But the funny thing is, I generally don't count them. Now, this is what has worked for me. I found that if I'm going to get down to that that nitty gritty where I am obsessing over how much ketchup I use, it's going to backfire. It's too, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just too detailed. Now I use a lot of ketchup. I mean, now that I know I probably use 3 to 4 tablespoons of ketchup for like a normal French fry kind of meal. So it could add up. I've never had a problem with it halting my weight loss or interfering in any way. I think if I would maybe look at that, but since I wasn't, I didn't have to. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure if that's making sense. I also generally stay away from the high fat content style dips and sauces and those kinds of things. I think people, I know a lot of people who are kind of obsessed with like ranch dressing or like sour creamy kind of dips, or even I have the spinach dips, and those kinds of things are like super, super high in calories, and they really, really do add up. I generally stick with the more sugar-based, like ketchup, barbecue sauce, honey mustard. And even though there is fairly high sugar content, and they do have calories, they're not that many calories that they're sabotaging me. So I found for me, what works best is to not worry about them. Again, unless I saw that I was having a problem and not losing, or if I was gaining weight and that was the only weird thing in my diet or something like that. So even though I do use them, I don't go down to like measuring them out or counting them, because I think for me, it would become an obsessive thing. So I've never really seen an issue of it. If you are worried about it, and I did this when I was following Weight Watchers, like to the old Weight Watchers to the letter when I first lost, I would just count ketchup as a point. Almost like fruit. Like now, of course, fruit is free in Weight Watchers, but it wasn't on the old plan. And I never measured my fruit for the same reasons. I didn't want to become obsessed with things that didn't, in my mind, warrant obsession. Of course, that's very subjective. So, in my opinion, fruit, ketchup, you're not going to be, drinking, glass after glass of ketchup, and no one got fat by eating too many grapes, as I've often said. So, I would just count them as a point, acknowledge that you ate them, know that it's part of your diet, so you're not doing it unconsciously, but don't obsess over about it and worry about how much ketchup you took in. If you take an extra tablespoon of ketchup, it's not going to kill you. So count it and move on, but don't obsess over it. That's always been my approach, and it's worked for me. And I don't use portion control like you asked, or do you? I guess I do in a way, but if I need more ketchup, I just squirt more ketchup on my plate. Yesterday, yes, I have to tell you this. Yesterday, I made my first butternut squash batch for myself. Like I've been making butternut squash for Little Bean for his baby food. Like I would just cut it in half, roast it, and mash it up. I'll put a link to. I've been doing this adventure in baby food series on Babbel, so I'll link to that underneath the video. But yesterday I made one, and I decided to give him half and to give me half. So I cut the butternut squash in half, and I roasted it. And the other half I made fries out of, and it was my first batch of butternut squash fries in well over a year. I got out of the habit of making them, and then the seasons changed, and butternut squash isn't prevalent. But I've been seeing it more and more. And I sat with a huge plate of butternut squash fries and my big wad of ketchup, and I was like in a little bit of heaven. And I was like, oh, this is so great. I felt full afterwards, and I was satisfied, and it was like a nice fall meal. It wasn't really a meal; it was a snack, but. I don't know, it just made me feel good. But I used mounds of ketchup. I probably added on about 100 calories. But it's ketchup calories. They don't count. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. But that's a really good question, Jessica. I would say don't obsess unless you see a problem. And use, like you said, use kind of informal portion control. I wouldn't go down the route of actually measuring. I think it to the point where, again, it becomes obsessive. All right, I could babble about ketchup for a long time, can't I? All right, next question is from Marie. All right, Marie says, Roni, I have been impressed with how quickly you have picked up your running mileage after Evan. I'm a new mama as well, and I am still nursing my little guy. He is 8 months, and I am now having a heck of a time running anything more than 3 miles. I sort of feel like all of my energy is spent making milk, and that I don't have much to run with. Do you feel that way at all? I'm eating well, I'm sleeping well as much as I can with a little guy, and I have lost all the pregnancy weight. Wow, congratulations, that's awesome. I still have 10 pounds to go. I guess I'm just wondering if anyone else feels this way or if I just need to suck it up. Thanks, Marie. No, Marie, I think I know your body expels energy, and, again, I'm not a nurse or lactation consultant or anyone of any kind of expertise that would know this. But yeah, your body is expending energy to make that milk. And I think they do say it's like 500 calories a day, I think, if you're exclusively nursing. So think about how long it would take you to physically burn 500 calories a day. So your body's working. It's just inner things happening, and you're making milk. So I think you bring up a really valid issue that nursing mothers have. For me, I kind of chalked up my tiredness during running to just having a baby, although it probably, my body, again, with the nursing, I'm not nursing as much now. I'm probably nursing 2 to 3 times a day, sometimes 4 if I can kind of sneak a nursing session in between meals. So I'm no longer exclusively breastfeeding. And when I wasn't really running much past 3 to 4 miles. Anyway, what I've noticed is I'm still slower. And I think it might be because of the reasons that you've brought up. Like for you, it's coming out in distance. For me, it comes out in pace. I have no desire to run fast right now at all. I don't care. I don't care that my times are a little slower. I mean, I'm now kind of, I think, getting faster just for the natural progression I have with training. So, but I'm averaging like an 11-minute mile when I easily was before the baby like a 9.5-minute mile. And I guess mentally I'm not ready yet to push myself any faster, and probably physically. So I think you're probably right. Like again, for you just don't want to go the distance, and for me, I don't want to push myself faster. So I would ask you, how fast are you running? Are you running at the same pace? Because if you are, you know, then that's great. I mean, you're running at your own pace and you're running a good 3 miles. If you want to start to get over the 3 mile hump, then, I would just start doing it very slowly. Like, just add a quarter mile to your next run. I love, like, a quarter mile adding on is such an easy way to increase mileage. And this is for everyone, nursing or not. I found that for me, like, I track my runs with the whole little Nike Plus system. And a quarter mile is about 400 meters. And if you add it onto your run with the distance thing on the Nike Plus, you can hit your goal and then start the 400-meter countdown. I don't know. A lot of you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it'll tell you in your ear, my little device, it'll say, you have 400 meters remaining. You have 300 meters remaining. And adding that 400 meters and having that kind of feedback in my ear helps me. And so push it up a quarter mile. And then, next week, push it up another quarter mile, push it up another quarter mile. And then before you know it, you'll be up a little higher in the mileage. I don't know what your goals are, but just increase slowly. I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you need to suck it up. I mean, you do in a way, but it's not a nice way to say it. I think you reward yourself for doing good things for yourself, for you with a new baby, and don't stress or feel guilty about not going out there and running more than 3 miles. I'm like, dude, you're running 3 miles. That's awesome. You could do 5Ks and have fun with that and do what feels good for your body right now. For me, I wanted to push past the distances. When I set that goal of running the half marathon this past weekend, because I knew it would get me back into running, and I'm very much goal orientated and I like events. So I thought, okay, if I put this event out there in the future, it'll make me push myself a little bit. I wanted to push myself. And that worked for me, and it made me feel good, and it gave me something to work towards. But if you're happy doing 3 miles, and it feels right for your body, then just keep doing what you're doing. It all comes down to doing what feels good for you. Yeah. Okay. So, again, don't think you're crazy. You're eating good. You're sleeping well. You lost all the baby weight, and you're running 3 mile stints. I think you rock. Totally. I think you're awesome. I don't think you need to do anything else except for what you're doing. All right. I'm going to move on. The next question is from Ashley, and it's a little bit longer, and I see lots of question marks. All right, so bear with me. Okay. Hey, Roni, I have a question about running. Yay for more running questions. All right, here we go. I trained for and ran a half marathon 2 years ago. Since have had a second baby who is now 9 months old, I find it so much harder to fit in running with 2 kids, mostly because I don't have a double jogger. I don't know how you people would double jog. I could barely push a single jogger. I can't even imagine a double jogger. All right. Anyway, sorry, I went off the track. All right, it's not in the budget currently, so I need to find another solution. I noticed that you seem to run at different times of the day. I have always been a morning runner, but that's just not so plausible right now. I'm thinking of starting to run in the evenings after the babies go to bed. But I'm wondering if my body will protest. Have you always run at different times, or was it an adjustment? Any tips for running at the end of the day? Do you eat a super early dinner with the kids, or wait and eat until you're done? How about the motivation? The reason I've always been a morning runner is I have less time to make up an excuse not to do it. Any tips, advice would help. I'm back to my pre-pregnancy weight, but everything still jiggles. Okay, first of all, you people back to your pre-pregnancy weight is awesome. And I totally know what you mean about the jiggle. I feel jiggle now when I run all the time. And I know my brain's just in tune to it because I'm thinking about it, but that's so funny that you said that. Anyway, plus I miss all that comes with running. Thank you for all that you do. All right, Ashley. Okay. I love this question, and I know I don't want, baby pregnancy style running questions to take over, but I think this question actually pertains to everybody who's interested in working out or taking time to do something that's for them, not just running, if you're a new mom. So, when you how do I want to say this? Like, I change constantly. That's how I had to start this response. So right now, I'm just actually beginning to slowly start to run in the mornings again because I'm reacting to the fact that now Evan is sleeping in, or Little Bean, he's sleeping in a little bit more, and I'm finding that I can get up around 6-ish before Ryan, little guy, is up for school to get ready for school, and I can sneak in like a 3-mile run. And then get him ready for school. Baby wakes up, feed him, get a first grader on the bus, hang out with baby, put baby down for nap, get started with work. That seems to be, like, that's kind of a flow that's happening. A month ago, never in a million years would that have happened. Because baby was still waking up in the middle of the night to nurse, sometimes around 5. Then all of a sudden he wouldn't go back down, and then I have a baby on my hands early in the morning. Then the first grader's up, then I have to feed him breakfast, and then my morning just didn't work. So then I was running in the evenings after I put him to bed. My point is that you have to look at your own situation and figure out what works best for you. I personally, if I didn't have any extra responsibilities, I would love to work out first thing in the morning every day. Now that I enjoy working out, it took me a long time to get to that point, but now that I've adopted kind of a workout lifestyle and I enjoy it, if my ideal day would be to wake up 7-ish, maybe 8-ish, get in a little run, take a shower, work, maybe eat breakfast somewhere in there, hang out, go out to lunch with the husband, I can dream about my perfect day, but the reality is I have kids, and I have a husband who doesn't always get out of bed in the morning, and I have to figure out how to get everything and everyone dressed and ready and out the door, including myself. So you have to react. And so the way that I handled it, because for me, running was a non-negotiable, or getting back into running and back into working out was a non-negotiable after the baby. It was something that I wanted to do for me, and it was one of the few things that I was doing only for me. So I looked to running at night. And so what ended up happening was I would put the babies to bed. Actually, the husband mostly does bath because I do mornings. So once he was even giving them a bath, or after I nursed, however it kind of worked out, and it's still in a state of flux right now. But once the kids were in bed, and maybe not even sleeping, because the husband was here and he's monitoring things, and I would go out and for a half hour, 45-minute run at like 9 p.m. Sometimes the latest I've gone out was probably 10 p.m. Now I'm lucky because I live in a fairly well-lit community. I have sidewalks on all my running paths, so that's an option for me, and I realize it's not an option for everyone. But again, it's reacting to my situation. So my pointers would be for anyone who's trying to fit in what it is that they want to do for themselves. Again, for me, it was running. Then you have to kind of look at your situation and react to it and figure out where you can slide it in, and know that it's going to change, and not let that be an excuse later on. Like, oh, I can't get up in the mornings anymore because the baby needs to be fed. I guess I won't run anymore. Which I think a lot of us, myself included, it's so easy to use that as an excuse not to do it, even though you really want to do the thing. And I don't know why we are programmed, or at least I am, that way, that for so long I always wanted to do things but never did them, and found easy excuses to get myself out of them, even though I wanted to do them. Does that make sense? Because the alternative, it is easier. It is easier just to say, oh, I can't do it, my life's too busy. It's easy to say that. It just is. And then everyone agrees with you. Oh, yeah, you have 2 kids. You shouldn't be running. Or, I think about the time where a couple years ago, I started running turkey trots on Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving morning, I go and run a 5K, and I've done it for 3 years in a row now. And it's a tradition. And, I would love to get the whole family to come with me. They're not that interested. And the first year I did it, I hit a little bit of resistance. My mom was kind of like, really? You're cooking dinner and you're going to go and run? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's important to me. It's something that I want to do. And I did it. Since then, people have gotten a little bit more supportive of me. But the point is that you have to make the decision and make it non-negotiable, and find a way to fit in what it is that you want to do for you. Sorry, I got a little emotional about that. All right, so anyway, Ashley, to answer your questions, I generally, when I do run in the evenings, I do eat dinner with the family, which we usually eat around 6:30-ish. We eat anytime between 5 and 7, because yet again, like a lot of things, it's a little bit variable. But let's say 6:30-ish. And then I'm usually running around 8:30. So it's been 2 hours since the meal, and I'm comfortable. I do not like to eat and then run. So I can see, you'd have to figure out a way to do that. But for me, 2 hours is long enough time between my meal. I don't think your body will protest. I hear a lot of people complaining or saying that they can't sleep after they work out. I've never had that problem. I mean, I guess I can understand it. Your adrenaline's pumping and, your heart rate's going and that kind of thing. But for me, it's never really been an issue. And if I run from, say, 8:30 to 9, I'm not going to bed until 11. So it's a good 2 hours, for my body to come off that high. And I take a relaxing shower and whatever, so I don't think your body will protest as much as you think it will. And the only way to see if it does is to try. So take an evening run and give it a shot. So you also asked, have you always run at different times, or was it an adjustment? I have always run at different times, based on the situation, like I said. And actually, when I first started running, I ran in the afternoons, like 4, something weird, because I was teaching, and that was what worked for my schedule. So I've always been an adjuster. This is my new situation. Now I have to adjust. Any tips for running at the end of the day? The hardest thing is to get your ass at that door. I'm going to be totally honest with you, because like you said, in the morning, you're not awake enough to give yourself excuses. At night, it's very easy. And there's just certain times where your brain wins out. But I've turned to things like Twitter and my friends and, even the husband. I tell the husband, I'm going for a running tonight. You have to help me make sure I get out the door. And then without fail, every time I go and then I run and I come back and I feel fabulous. And I wonder to myself why I ever doubted going in the first way. But literally getting out your door will be your hardest thing. So just keep remembering that and just go, I just have to get out the door. I just have to get out the door. I just have to get out the door. And then once you're running, you'll be fine. Let's see, other questions. I think I answered all your questions. Yep, I did. Okay, so I hope that helps those of you who kind of get their normal workout routines disrupted by something, more than likely kids, and that you can figure out a way for it to fit into your schedule in other ways. It is possible. It is possible to steal a half hour for yourself. It might not just be when you want the half hour and you have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not negotiate. I guess negotiate. You have to negotiate your time. Okay, I am going to move on. I think I have one more question from Katie G. Katie says, "Hi, Roni. Wow, you are such an inspiration." Well, thank you, Katie. I, like you, have struggled for years with weight issues, and finally, after having kids, have got my, quote, shit together. I have lost all but the last 10 pounds from baby number 2, and I'm feeling really good. Okay, enough about me. On to the question. I love running. Oh, these are all running questions. I'm sorry. I didn't even realize I was plucking all running questions. I love running and have ran several 5K races over the last year. I feel very comfy and confident at these races. I'm getting ready to finish a 10K training program in a week. It is going great, but I am so nervous about signing up for an actual 10K race. Help me. I think my problem is that I feel like the 10K races and beyond are more for the serious, experienced runners. I like the fun atmosphere of the 5Ks that I have been to. I'm afraid that the 10Ks will be more serious. I'm not a hardcore runner. I'm out there just for me, so I don't care about actually winning. So do you have any advice to get my butt onto a 10K starting line? Katie. All right, Katie. Every race I've ever gone to has that same 5K atmosphere. I promise you. The half marathon I just did, I was in corral 20. Okay, there were 23 corrals. And for those of you who don't know, larger races, I'm talking like 10,000 plus people. The way, you can't just have 10,000 people start running a race. It just doesn't work. Okay, so what they do is they group you by finish times. So you tell them how fast you think you're going to run it. I told them I thought it was going to take me about 2.5 hours. So I got put at the back of the line with all the slow people, myself included, in corral 20. And all the people back there, there's no doubt you're going to have a handful of crazy people who want to win the race, but they're all up in the front, right? They're up like literally at the start line. Gun goes up and they're like, woo, they're already like into mile 5 when you're just starting. All the people around me were phenomenal. And we're talking about a half marathon here, 13.1 miles. And no one was taking it seriously. No one was, I don't know, pushing their way through the crowd. They were all happy, supportive, motivated, fun people. And I mean, even the marathon, when I ran the marathon, most people, what my experience at most races, everything from 5K all the way up to a marathon, and I can't think of a race that I've been to that wasn't like this. They are just loaded with supportive people who all have the same goal, which is to cross the finish line. Like I said, there is a handful of people there that want to win. They are a very small percentage. I mean, really, really small. Most people are there just to prove to themselves that they can do it. They're there because they're running for a cause. They're there because their girlfriends dared them. They're all there for all those fun reasons. And if I swear, I want to like start a nonprofit to get like everyone to commit to running at least the 5K. I might make it my mission because I think once, and myself, like again, myself included, I think I feared these races and I feared running, knowing that I'm not a runner, and just kind of thinking that they were reserved for athletes and, people who, I don't know, who run, not people like me. But it couldn't be further from the truth. And that most of the people at these runs are people just like you and I, who just want to run. We want to be healthy. We're trying to find an outlet. Maybe it's running. We want to see if we can run a little faster than we did last time. We want to make new friends. So you have nothing to worry about with signing up. Nothing to worry about. You can come to my house and beat me up if you go to a 10K and meet nobody, nothing but happy, happy people. Because, gosh, that's what got me hooked on running, was the atmosphere at races. And a 5K, I did my first 5K and I was in awe of the emotion that was there. And then when I did the relay, this was 2008, I think. I did a relay of the marathon. So that means I ran 1/4 of the marathon with a team of people. And once I've experienced the energy that was at a marathon, that's when I really got hooked. And so again, think about it. You might think of a marathon as being, just chock full of crazy people who are, all wanting to win and they're all competing. But again, the energy and the motivation and the inspiration that you can find at any racing event, I think, is just awe-inspiring. So do it. Sign up for 10K. You won't regret it, I promise. You might even get hooked to do even longer runs. That's what happens to me. All right, I'm going to go. I'm a little bit over time for my 30-minute mark. I'm so glad I got a chance to do this, and I will do my best to record another one soon. I promise. I do have lots of questions flowing in, and they're all amazing, amazing, fun questions. So thanks for watching / listening, and I will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.